Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are 𝐼𝐻_𝑀-𝐴 and we are back with another edition of Thursday Talks. And this time I have the whole galaxy of the sales universe here with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely privileged to be on the other side now. And as I said in some of our communication, I'm happy to start the learning again. It is true that this tree, 𝐼𝐻 Aurangabad, is known by the fruit. And I can see that this is very, very valuable fruit in the session this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate very much your willingness to create educational and digital content. The purpose of this exercise is to create a body of knowledge which is real, which is relevant, which comes from the world of sales and marketing and not from a textbook. The purpose of getting together is for us to have an honest conversation. I'm going to try and keep this as informal as possible. Of course, it's not an examination. Please be as honest as you want to. There are no secrets unless you want to keep them, and I will keep all your secrets nevertheless. I'm looking forward for all of the students at the Institute to enjoy this, because this is the first time we've been able to get such a galaxy of sales stars onto a call. And I am delighted that this opportunity is available to the students. Before we kick in, and very quickly, could I ask you to go around the table and just introduce yourselves? So we'll start with you, Megha, and then we'll just go around in whichever order you like. So over to you, Megha.
Thank you, Dr. Jairam, and we're still getting used to calling you Dr. Jairam. For us, you'll always say Mr. Jairam, the mentor. But once again, good evening, everybody, and especially all the students. It feels fabulous being back, speaking to a lot of you. A little bit on me, 7th batch, roll number 747, passed out in 2002. And it's been a great journey. I always aspired to be in sales. Unfortunately, then we were hired only for operations. So I did start off with the Taj Management Training Program and then graduated my way up into sales. A little bit of a zigzag career, stepped out of hotels, did real estate, did media, decided that I just love hotels too much and came back. Have worked with the Taj, have worked with the legacy Starwood hotels, and then currently I am with the Marriott. Based out of our Mumbai office, I take care of sales and distribution for about 1/3 of South Asia, which is our region. And couldn't be more delighted to be here. I hold a personal cord with college because it sets my family. So yes, my hubby is also an alumni, same batch, and we totally love the fact that our journey has been so enriching whilst in college and continues being so. And thank you once again. Lovely being here today with all colleagues passing 2 decades of 𝐼𝐻 Aurangabad. Thank you, Mr. Jairam.
Hey, thank you, Megha. Over to you, Manish.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So this is how we normally start, right? The good student goes first, and then comes in the notorious one. So let me quickly tell you what I've done so far, right? I mean, it's been a phenomenal journey. I did graduate in 2001. The person who you call Dr. Jairam is really truly a mentor to all of us that you see on the screen right now, especially to our batch, I can tell. I started my career in operations with the Oberoi hotels. Zigzag to Megha's point, let me use the same word, to the Marriott, when Marriott was just about, I think, 2 hotels old in India. Spent 14 years with the Marriott, did a stint with the IDC hotels, and now with the Hilton, I look after commercial services, which is sales, revenue management, and marketing for the Hilton in India. So it's been a phenomenal journey, I think. Loads of learning, something that we take inspiration from the Institute constantly, because learning never stops. And we are hoping we can add some sort of value to the conversation this evening. Thank you, Mr. Jairam.
So you're on mute.
Thanks, Manish. Can I ask Varun Saluja to go next?
Great. Good evening, everyone. Varun Saluja, proud pass out of 2010 batch. Thank you very much to Dr. Jairam and the team for giving us the opportunity to come across and interact with you guys and contribute in our own small way to the evening. So for me, Marriott Baby throughout, I was a part of the sales voyage program for the Marriott, where I started off at the Goa Marriott, moved to Mumbai, had great 6 successful years, happened to actually work with Manish briefly and quite closely with Megha as well during our stint back in Mumbai. Aspiring to be with the Ritz-Carlton, I actually took over an assignment at the Ritz-Carlton in Doha in 2016. And then obviously my goal was to move over to Dubai. Spent some time with Hilton. I managed the Hub City complex, unique 3 brands over there as well. Obviously, with the shift of the pandemic coming in, changes happening, I got a chance now to be with Accor. Extremely delightful journey, sticking on with the industry, managing to grow with the companies that I've been with. So yeah, all gratitude goes out to the institute in its own way for grooming us for who we are today. Thank you very much. I look forward to interacting with you all.
Thank you, Varun. And now to Varun Shukla, who is not on the screen at the moment, but please take it away. Have you got Varun Shukla? All right.
So,
hi, Varun. Can you just get your camera on, and then could you just let everyone know what you're doing?
Varun Shukla will be joining us shortly. He's facing IT-related issues. Can we please move to Anahita?
All right. So let's go to Sahil first, and then we'll go to Anahita.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Sahil Sahani here. I'm working with 𝐼𝐻𝑀 currently. I started off my journey after finishing 𝐼𝐻-𝑀-𝐴 in 2016. Actually, I was the first batch that Mr. Jairam was able to arrange to go to the university and actually finish a degrees for. And I'm really thankful for that. It was one of the best experiences. Post coming that, I was able to work intern with Taj before I got selected for a management training program here. And after finishing the management training program, I've been part of the national sales team here in Mumbai. I look after accounts based out, companies based out of South Mumbai. And compared to everyone, I'm still a baby and I'm trying to learn as much as I can at the moment.
So everybody is a leader and everybody is a leader in the cradle. And that's what we do at 𝐼𝐻 Aurangabad. We find them and we grow them. So over to you, Anahita.
Good evening. If Sahil says he's a baby, then I don't know what I am. I think I'm the most recent graduate over here. But as Varun said, I am, like, he's a married baby. I am an 𝐼𝐻𝑃L baby. I got recruited straight from campus, where I started with the travel industry sales team. Subsequently, I joined the management training program where I had some exposure at Umaid Bhawan Palace in Jodhpur. And after that, I was with the brand team for quite some time. And after working in the brand team, we have a lovely new brand called 𝑠𝑒𝑠, and I've been working with them for a while, post which I joined the Strategic Accounts Management Group as an account manager. And that's where I am right now, based in Bombay.
Wonderful. Wonderful to have everybody here. And it's not really about the position or what you do in a very difficult situation like this. It's all about your ingenuity. You know, it's about the human DNA that you possess that makes you do things so very specially. And the whole purpose for us to get together here today is to learn some of those things from you. So I'm going to go with the ladies first philosophy, and I'm going to start with Megha. So Megha, let the grilling begin. You know, so we'd like to first celebrate you as a future wiki leader. And I'm going to ask you whether, on account of their unique abilities, do women make better salespeople than men? Or under these circumstances, do we have an option to say customized digital automation is better than both? You know, I'm going to leave that with you for a minute for it to sink in. I'm also going to ask you, you know, in another breath, is a woman's innate polychronic ability to sell fully leveraged with all of these code-based AI solutions that we are trying to bring in, and particularly in warm cultures like ours? And finally, as you get your thoughts together, what are your comments on passion, sheer passion being a driving factor when you're engaged with very emotionally price-sensitive clients as you're likely to find today in India? So let's just hear you now.
All right, that's a lot of questions rolled into a complex statement, and that's what you're famous for, Dr. Jairam. So thank you very much for that. I think I'll try and break it down and make it simpler for everybody who's listening to us. I think the first thing that you asked was in itself a fairly controversial one. Women in comparison to men, who make better sales leaders? And I think whilst there are innate strengths in both the genders, as a woman, the three distinctive advantages that I do feel that we definitely have an edge on, and in advance pardon for all the gentlemen on the panel and otherwise who are listening to us, I think the three ingredients really that we have an edge over is listening skills and capabilities, B, emotional intelligence, and C, collaboration. And I think the more we stay grounded in the profession of hospitality, these three capabilities increasingly lend ourselves, especially in the sphere of sales, and provide us that edge, which sometimes help us chase and close the businesses faster. That said, business cycles or sales cycles, in my opinion, are of two kinds. There are some short cycle selling opportunities where I would personally feel that men definitely do score faster because they come to the point immediately, whilst we like to really hear it out and break it down, etc. But that innate quality comes when the second kind of selling, which is complex in nature, comes into foray. So that's how I guess me as a lady salesperson would definitely, give a high thumbs up towards this discipline is what my personal belief stands. The other piece that you interestingly asked was whether digital automation would land up taking. This is an interesting one. I think digital is something that's really been the front and foray, especially around this pandemic time. In my personal opinion, new development, not just in hospitality, but for any and every company. And there continues to be an inherent difference between sales communication and marketing communication, and hence the application of digital automation. Host of customers out there who we want to target out immediately, and so we use automated options. It could be something as small as a newsletter that we use marketing automation technology to immediately send out and prospect and get leads, etc. When it comes to sales communication, automation cannot land up doing it all. Automation definitely helps in the process for a sales representative out there to communicate faster on target, a single prospect who definitely has a quality of touch points around them. And that's where, the evaluation of the different buyer personas, the level of personalization that one has to bring in does come into foray, and that getting created to take care of it. So to answer the second part of your question, where you said that whether women's innate polychronic ability, that was the word you used, polychronic, in terms of us being the multitaskers, right? Whether we can fully leverage AI-based solutions, I think today there is a definite defined reason for it. The fact that we can manage complexities extremely well in itself helps us to have that edge on understanding AI way faster and adapting it in hospitality way faster. So I think it's a quality, it's this polychronic ability that makes us even better to code the current AI-based solutions in these warm markets that we're currently operating in. Your last question around passion. And I think it goes without saying for all of us, passion needs to continue being at literally the most key ingredient for the success in sales. It sits in the front and center of everything, especially the big chunk in our lives, which is around customer conversations. When we are passionate about what is the end that we want to achieve in mind, and at the same time being a woman, have that innate ability to emote well, I think we are able to uncover so much more, so much faster, especially in times of these price negotiations with sensitive customers, etc. And that helps us then to really be able to provide that true value to the customer that's being, for which a certain price get that edge of, even if it be 100, 200, 300 rupee over the price expectation, we're able to win it through. So very proud to be a woman that way and very proud to be in sales.
So you see, Megha, if we want to see 50% of boards, we actually started the Institute. We're almost reaching a 50% ladies to gentlemen ratio at the Institute. And there are a lot of these ladies who are not likely to step out, and hearing you is only going to inspire them to look for the career. So it's over to Manish now. So Manish, life in operations, right, must have been very challenging. But interestingly, I also believe that when we take a page out of your book, we realize that your transition from operations to sales as a career strategy, would you recommend that to young professionals? And well, do operations executives actually perform much, and what can we do? I mean, we've been focused on operations very many years, and we'd like to enhance the quality of people who are coming to your commercial teams. So, your take on what we can do to make things better for you out there.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jairam. Better leaders, period. Not just sales leaders, but just better leaders. And let me try and process. I moved from ops into sales, and I had my reasons. I wanted to figure a way to monetize the technical knowledge I'd gained over a period of time. Also, during those days, sales has started to transform into a form of science from a form of art. There was logic starting to get into sales, essentially. And I'm talking about 1947 practically, right? I wanted to be a part of that journey. I joined an organization that was at the cusp of growth in the country and was ready to experiment in a market that was unknown to them, right? I had the opportunity to combine globally proven tools. Failure played a very important role in the success, right? Because you just have to be ready when you transition from ops into sales or sales into ops or anything right now. I don't think hotels have other angles which are critically as important as functions, but just be ready for that initial failure, the setback before you start performing, right? You got to walk before you run, essentially. I can also tell you I moved from sales into operations because I felt back into commercial. I have done that thrice in my life. I've had my own reasons. The transitions have never been very easy, but they've been very rewarding. So as a recommendation, if I can put myself in that place, I would say yes. Do it if you know what you want, right? If you know what's at the end of the tunnel for you, if you're clear about what you want to achieve, take the risk, do it. Because it's not risky anymore, right? Because the avenues have opened up so much and they constantly continue to open. Hotels is not hotels anymore, it's hospitality. The zones have broadened essentially. So go out there, take the risk, make the most of it. I have done that thrice. Commercial happened. And then I now want to be in a position where I can impact NUG, which is net unit growth, or how an organization or a company or a brand grows moving forward. Right or wrong decision, I don't know, but keeps me engaged and keeps me happy. To your second question about do operations executives have, now it must be pure coincidence, but yes, in most cases, I think resilience demonstrated by the ops folks, right, or ops-backed commercial leaders has been formidable. I also think that because the nature of earlier jobs that they've done, right, teaches them how to work with limited resources and conditions that are constantly changing, so it puts them in a better spot. But during the pandemic, which was your question, it wasn't really the sales skills as much as the ability to adapt and operate, right? As sales leaders, as sales team members, when traditional business segments ceased to exist, one had to figure and focus on here and now streams of business. So it was eventually the attitude more than the background that stood the test of time, I feel. Team members who quickly adapted to focus towards survival before revival made tangible impact to the cash flows in any hotel, to the success of any hotel. But there is one thing as a factor, right? An ops-based or ops-backed sales leader has had the transition, which means you're not just a single contributor or individual contributor, right? You, operate from being a single contributor to managing 3 or 4 people to managing a much larger team before you become a sales and marketing leader. Well, sales-backed folks don't have the advantage. You're so charged up by performing individually, being a star, that suddenly that becomes like a curvy, like a big learning curve, essentially, at that point in time. So that's the only place where I feel, I guess, advantage goes to ops-backed sales leaders versus sales, essentially.
So you're on mute.
Unmute yourself.
Enhance your teams and their performance. So I'm going to move, and this one is for Varun Shukla. Let's put ourselves in your shoes, Varun. Do you really believe luxury, boutique, unique experiences will survive from selling personalized experiences to digitally discrete experiences? Are you able to evolve a new mantra for the... So Varun, if you can hear me, all yours. Right, I think Varun is potentially struggling. Do you have me, Varun? All right, so why don't we move to Varun Saluja then? Varun, you're in a complex market. Does competitive product strategy give you an opportunity to really focus on relationships in a market like that? Let's talk about product leadership as far as your brand is concerned. Has it changed very much after the pandemic struck us? So also, would you rather suggest a lean, value-added product approach or a luxurious, all-inclusive kind of approach when you sell to your markets?
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the question, Dr. Jairam. I'll break it up as well in three parts to take care of it. I think let's talk about, and its sub-market, the very fast-paced Dubai that we are sitting in currently has around 700 odd hotels, right? Where clearly product cannot be investments made by hotel companies and their brands available in this emirate. We are looking at clearly two identified extremes, right? So you've got super luxury properties and extremely economic budget hotels. Now, these two ends can be clearly demarcated, in my opinion, by their respective product types. And I can tell you, it will be a handful of 75 to 100 odd such properties collectively, speaking about Dubai. What we are left with is essentially an intersection of 500 plus hotels, which are very much similar in product type and service offerings. I think this is where relationship-based selling comes in handy, which leads me to something called as customer intimacy now, which is something that is built in very proactively in every hotel's business strategy. Now, working at the Ritz-Carlton for 2 years taught me, how you would tailor-make your services to suit exactly what your customer wants, which is important, more so in today's scenario where there is limited demand, right? So, I mean, talk about the Burj Al Arab, talk about a Premier Inn hotel. These are the extremes I'm talking about where a certain real competitive product strategy can be established. Whereas when we speak about average full service brands like maybe the JW Marriott, the Pullman, the Shangri-La, Conrad, the Hilton in downtown that I was managing, and now the Grand Mercure that I'm managing, I think I can tell you, barring the location benefits, it's purely my relationship-based selling, which is helping us churn the numbers. I think talking about product leadership, when you asked the question of how that changed when the pandemic struck us, I think product leadership, in my opinion, simply is the time and effort that we spend on deciding which products or which service add value to our customers, right? So, and we all can echo the sentiment that the pandemic barely gave us a time window to be prepared. There was a sudden paradigm shift. Suddenly and instantaneously, we saw ourselves being challenged by an urge to kind of tailor-make our services to suit the new normal that we are in now, which is where, in my opinion, I believe agility is something which is a very, very important component of our routine business. And I think this is where the first mover advantage gives you that competitive edge, right? So mid of last year, the focus completely shifted from a price-driven approach to a hygiene-driven approach, right? Which is where you started hearing things like Hilton Clean Stay, Marriott, commitment to clean standards, Accor, all safe. The window to act and react, again, to my point, was very, very small. From a commercial standpoint, I'll give you an example. Another very recent example that we've had is in the news is the sudden Israeli market, which is now due to resume business back for us. And this came in yesterday in a span of the next 2 days. Now look at the time window I'm talking about again. How soon do we react and prepare? So, and we all saw in Dubai how crucial this particular market was in Q4 last year, in Jan this year, and it was a game changer for all our bleeding hotels. Now, which is where my role as a commercial leader comes into play, where I am ensuring, and rather I was prepared, that all my tacticals, all my pricings, all my packages, all my value adds are out there with the tour operators, so that we are able to now grab the lion's share as and when immediately the market opens up. So I think that's where the product leadership of the brand, or rather brands, have drastically changed, where you're just on the move immediately. A very interesting aspect that you spoke about right now is the lean value added approach as against luxury all-inclusive sales approach. Now, I believe we're quite lucky to be in a market, a very dynamic market like Dubai, where you still have customers, right, that are buying and enjoying a luxurious all-inclusive services, as well as the ones who are preferring lean services with no frills attached. I think the bigger point of discussion, which I keep debating these days with my stakeholders, which I feel is, your hotels are they able to offer these services without sacrificing their profitability, right? Whether it's lean, whether it's an all-inclusive luxury service. I mean, talking about my current brand, Accor, I'll give you an example. We on an all-inclusive luxury package, where, believe me when I say it, when you enter the hotel, from the time when you leave the hotel, you're taken care of all across: food and beverage, rooming, all aspects. Now, the point in question here is, what now? So, because you still have that customer who wants to buy that all-inclusive service, yet the price points have changed, yet the budgets have changed. Whereas, let me give you an example of premium now, not subscribing to 150 plus TV channels, which was a big operating cost, etc., which is a much more cost-effective method, and at the same time, innovatively offers an extensive viewing option to my customers. So I think it's all a matter of guest perception across these two approaches, which are still taken care of in a market like Dubai that I'm in, while the hotels are smartly tweaking their operational costs.
Thank you, Varun. That's a lot to digest, because you're operating at two ends of the spectrum, and I can quite see how thinly you are likely to get spread if you choose to lean on any one side. But with that being said, let's hear what our younger sales leaders have to say. So I'm going to shift to Sahil. Your challenges, a few years out of college, and you're now looking at the current national environment in which you're expected to operate. And, so how did you initially respond to the fact that all of this corporate business just suddenly disappeared? The corporate consumption just collapsed. And, to support that, you had to look at multiple segments. You had to look at multi-use behavior. So there's a whole new set of challenges trying to fit the product offering with the kind of consumption expectation. And then really the big one from my point of view is, how would you sell a product if you don't know the purpose for which the person wants to use that particular product or service? So how did you cope with all this, Sahil?
So I just share some experiences that I had seen over the last 1 year since the pandemic, like lockdown was announced. So basically, to really understand how we initially reacted to the breakthrough, it's important to break the last year down into timelines and phases. We started receiving cancellations even before the national lockdown was announced. Conferences scheduled for April and later months were getting cancelled, and we had to take really quick calls in terms of BOP detentions and shifting to future dates. Like no one could see it coming. Meanwhile, companies were already coming out with travel ban guidelines. At that point, our motive was to hold on to every piece of business we had on our books. The next phase, society as a whole had to be aligned while making sure the virus wasn't impacting the transition, which was the repatriation movement that happened. Movement that started happening. We started hearing about people some shipping companies were trying to bring in people from different parts of the world, and the opportunity presented itself to generate a new revenue stream from a segment that has been silent for as long as we can remember. We had never heard any company like a shipping company that was generating huge revenues for us, but this is something new that had come in. The problem with that was that these companies were doing business, but were doing at a lower bandwidth of say 4,000 4,000 per person kind of spends they're looking at. But when it came to us especially for the hotels that we had in Bombay, the ultra luxury hotels, and going at a price of 4,000 rupees plus taxes, that is something that came to as a surprise to us. We didn't know how to initially react to it, but once we got our way around it, that maybe we could work it out, our teams got involved, and they could say, okay, maybe at this cost we can actually start making money while there's nothing we have in pipeline at the moment. So what they did was they agreed to go for a 4,000 rate, and that's when the floodgates opened. We had queries coming in from all over the world, all over different kind of shipping companies. people wanted to book with us in bulk, like they had repatriation happening across the country. So at that time, we were looking at a rate of 4,000, which was going across. But then that repatriation movement got over. People were already once they got home, and once everyone was home and there were travel ban already in place for the corporates, people realized people started feeling like they want to take revenge on what is happening to them. And that's when the leisure segment really picked up. That's when we realized that people wanted to go out, get out of their houses and be out and explore different worlds during a pandemic. And what helped to our benefit at that point was the range of portfolio that we had with IHCL. Like we had hotels in Rishikesh, we had hotels that were away from cities that you could not be bothered to travel. And that's when the pricing played its part. When we were in college, we were learning how you have to optimize on revenues and you have to make sure that you're making money out of things. But we've seen that shift in the last 1 year. We've seen people book a 5-star hotel for 4,000 rupees. And if you look at the later part of the year, we have people booking rooms at even at 25,000 per night. It's the same market. It's just a few months of transition, and it's all about the mindset that has changed over these months. So for me and my fellow colleagues at 𝐼𝐻𝑀-𝐴 present here, it's very important to remember that we're in the business of providing accommodation, luxury business budget accommodation, but accommodation. There is always business out there. With that fundamental in place, you just have to keep your eyes on the trends, amend your services with the trends, and target the audience that will pay you the money in their pocket, be it 4,000 rupees or 25,000. And I feel that would be my answer for it.
Yeah, thank you, Sahil. I think some of you will remember me saying in my class, we're in the business of sleep. It's only a question of determining how expensive or valuable that sleep is. So I hope we got Varun Shukla back. Varun,
yes,
can you confirm you can hear me? Hi. And can you just get your camera back on, because we haven't had a chance to say hello to you properly. And
I think my camera is switched on. Am I able to?
Right. Okay. So
yeah.
Varun, I'm not sure you heard the question that I had for you, and particularly because of the unique product category that you're associated with. So my question for you really was luxury, boutique, unique experiences, and this whole contradiction of the digital disruption. How difficult has it been for you to transition from selling unique, personalized experiences to now,
right,
a slightly more digitally distanced, unique experience for what it may? And have you been able to evolve a new mantra for repositioning your brand or service in the current phygital format that we all use at the moment?
Thank you for the questions, Dr. Jairam. So I also work at the 𝑤𝑖𝑡ℎ in Dubai. So this market, as Varun mentioned, is very dynamic, and we've been lucky that compared to rest of the world, we are still doing quite better. The hotels are still operating at a 40% occupancy, which is primarily city hotels. Luxury hotels, which is basically resorts based at the beaches, Palm, are all operating at 70 to 80% occupancy right now. In fact, there's a ruling you can't do more than 70% occupancy. So they're struggling to get the occupancy down. So why I'm sharing this is because when you say unique boutique luxury experiences versus digital disruption, digital disruption is actually assisting us reaching wider market, be it Booking.com or Expedia or any of these. So it's not a hindrance actually. At the end of the day, even if I do a virtual meeting or I showcase a hotel through on a 3D platform, the person still has to come and sleep in the hotel or experience the hotel physically to put a full circle to it. So it's only facilitated the process rather than hindered it. With digital marketing coming in, it has given you more options of reaching out to a wider client base. And at the end of the day, it's still luxury hotels that people are looking to come into. In fact, a lot of hotels which have too much technology vis-a-vis hotels which are secluded, simple. It's the secluded, simple hotels which people are still looking out for, because as one might say that digitally everyone is going ahead. But when you're on a vacation, you want to switch off your mobile phone, you want to disconnect, you want to digital detox. And that's where simple, hoteliering and luxury is what brings your customers back to you, and it's the service element at the end of the day. So that's the answer to the first question. The second is, how difficult has it been for me to transition from selling experiences versus a digitally discrete experience? As I said, it's only helped the entire process and not hindered it, especially during lockdown. We didn't know which market to target. Everything was shut. So through a digital experience, digital marketing, we were able to reach out to a wider base, and then realize, say, in a market like Dubai, that long-term business was the need of the hour, and that's what we had to target. And basis on the responses we were getting on Instagram, through our social media handles, we designed packages for people to book long-term stays, which eventually helped us get some business out from there. And answering your last question, which is, are you able to evolve a new mantra for repositioning your brand of service into a phygital format? No, there isn't a new mantra as such. It's just that a lot of when we started sales almost 7-8 years back, and a few of the panelists who have started much earlier, marketing wasn't given much importance that time. It was still a smaller aspect, but now it is gained higher priority and is key right now. So that's the new mantra, that right now digital marketing is a necessity for a salesperson to grow in his career, and it's not an option, which used to be an option earlier. It's not an option now. So you have to understand social media, digital media, everything. So that's only from the sales perspective. From a product perspective, as I said, it doesn't matter. It's at the end of the day, the location of the hotel, wherever it is, and how you position it. So technology comes second. It's still a people's industry. People like to meet people, and that's what matters.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Varun, I hear from you, back to basics, but the nature of the basics have changed. What you're saying is that we've got to be teaching these people digital marketing and communication. And we are one of the only institutions, incidentally, which brought it into our curriculum about 4 years ago. And to also answer Manish's part of the question, where we are giving you digitally ready solution in terms of the talents that you are likely to recruit from us in the future. But your answers are so deep, and they're so well understood in terms of the real life experience, that I don't believe we're going to have the time to complete what we wanted to do in a 1-hour discussion. So I'm going to just try and have a round 2 of this discussion at another point. And at this stage, I'm going to ask Anita, okay, who's not willing to classify herself as anything other than an infant in sales and marketing. So Anita, you're looking at international markets. Okay, so you've got a big challenge ahead of you. How difficult has it been for you to compare some of our more recent unique homestay experiences with the existing exclusive product categories? And so also, do you think any of the other disruptors in this space, so do you share your customers with the Airbnbs of the world? And finally, do you really think that, a highly tech-driven, faceless digital experience is here to stay as compared to the more personalized one?
So I'm going to break this up as well as the others have done. And to start with, the first thing is, it has been tremendously challenging for anyone who has accounts who travel globally. We still haven't allowed, besides the Maldives, our international borders are still closed, and that's a massive chunk of business we are losing out on a daily basis, which we relied on very heavily. That being said, when it comes to boutique experience, and a lot of people talk about Airbnb in this space specifically. At one point, there was a thought would be a major contender and would take a major share of business. But the way things have changed so rapidly in the past 1 year, there is a certain assurance and a certain guarantee that comes with the brand name, and that we discussed earlier, this hygiene standards, the assurances that we are doing our level best to tackle COVID, have taken precedence over something like an Airbnb, where it's left and dependent on the host. So that has become paramount, and that's the primary thing people are looking for today. So while Airbnb or other unique experiences are out in the market, it doesn't give you the assurance of the safety and hygiene that people need today to actually step out of their homes and travel. So, you know, as Sahil had mentioned earlier, we had seen a large set happen towards the holiday season, and at premiums that we've really never seen before. And that was simply because we were able to provide a level of assurance and guarantee that this was being taken care of at our end. When it comes to you know, the experience part of things, I don't think the experience is defined and limited only to a smaller niche product. Work very heavily on providing a very local experience to each and every customer who comes to us. So you may be a business traveler, but we still find a way to give you of the local city, the food, whether it's through the food, whether it's how you step out, or they say, okay, you know, go and do this, go to work. And that's where that whole, what they call leisure segment comes into play, where you mix your business and leisure. So that focus remains even for a business and a corporate client. And when it comes, of course, to you know, the leisure side of it, we've seen, so while we handle corporate accounts, the relationship that, you know, that we talked about earlier in this, that is so important. And so we spend a lot of time, you know, because of that relationship, helping plan leisure holidays. So while I was part of the brand team, I was very fortunate to work on experiences, you know. And one thing that I realized is when you have a brand name attached, you're able to give the authenticity and a guarantee of that information and that experience that you're providing. You may have a local host in some other place, and it might be very exciting, and you know, you'll get a really local flavor. But at the same time, that information and the experience, how authentic is it really? There are many versions, variations of it. So that is something that I really feel that having been in this space is something that we can provide, which the smaller sort of, you know, where it's left to a more independent host, that's something that, you know, a gap needs to be bridged still at the moment. And coming to the last question, where, you know, we're talking about technology or high touch. In today's environment, I don't think one goes without the other. It's not a choice that you choose one over the other. There are elements that we have had to, of our entire guest cycle, that we have had to change into completely technology-based, you know, experiences or processes, simply because you're trying to reduce your contact and your exposure to a guest in order to ensure their safety. So processes such as check-in, as your checkout, which have become completely tech-driven, we can't do without that today. But at the same time, you can't have an experience which is not personalized. And today, the only reason people are stepping out, or the majority of the reason people are stepping out, is to get that break and that experience away from their home, or disconnect from what's been happening all this while. That also requires an extremely high amount of reassurance. That is not something that a piece of technology can provide. So, you know, a little while ago, while we were actually on this call, a client of mine is messaging me saying, you know, someone I live next to has tested positive. I need a room immediately. She's not gone to the website to book a room. She's not called up the call center. She's called me because I am the person she knows, who she's sure that will give her that safety and assurance, and will treat it with the utmost urgency. So I don't think it's possible at this time to have a high touch experience and have a, you know, extremely personalized one separately. I think they're extremely important and intertwined at this moment.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alitha. I mean, I think you've got a very intense learning experience in the little time that you've already spent in the sales domain, and I can see that it's dramatically changed your perspectives. And I'm so very proud of the fact that all of you have shaped into wonderful professionals and doing a fantastic job and are being the leaders that you have to be. I'm going to ask you a question on yourselves, which is, what is this one unique trait in one word that you bring to your current circumstances? It's very tough out there. I know that the pressure is on sales. Everybody's got to deliver. Somebody's got to keep bringing the money in. But at the end of the day, when all of this pressure is sitting on your shoulders, what's the one thing you have in one word that allows you to deal with it all? So in no particular order, but I don't want you to raise your hand as though you were in a classroom. So I'm going to go with Manish first. So what's this one word which is the Manish of the situation?
Passion. Still keeping it alive.
Great, Manish. That's passion. Okay. And now I'm going to Megha.
I think resilience.
Passion, resilience. Sahil.
Persistence.
Persistence. Okay. Passion, resilience, persistence. Varun Shukla.
Adaptability.
Adaptability. And Varun Saluja.
I think reskilling for me.
Reskilling.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. I mean, I'm hearing such wonderful words, adaptability, reskilling, resilience, passion. Oh, wow. I mean, goes back to the school book, and you probably remember all these things as part of your early lessons. Anaita, what is it for you?
Creativity.
Creativity. Brilliant. Absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to ask our audience, we've got just 10 minutes because we are dealing with difficult circumstances in our environment, and we are not allowed to have our staff go back home, until a certain curfew time. So please put your questions in the chat box. Please put your questions in whichever format. I'm going to get my colleagues to pick the top 3 questions. We're only going to answer the top 3 questions. And I have one here already. So Karan, your question appears to be really big because it's taking some time coming in. Right. So the question is for anyone on the panel. Do you think in future it is critical for hotels to evolve and adopt a recurring revenue model? I think that's a question for the revenue side of things. We shouldn't pressurize these people with that. But I'm going to give you another easier one then. Do you think the industry was wrong to overtly focus on safety and hygiene in hotels? Do you think that brand communication on that front was an overkill, and instead of giving assurance to consumers, it drove them away? Well, this is a difficult one. I think there are multiple perspectives on this one. But if you got that question, anybody who wants to jump in and take this.
Can I take a shot at this, Mr. Jairam?
Sure.
Because this is not the first time we've heard this, right? There was a point in time when everyone just came in together. People stopped talking about food and beverage, rooms, comfort, luxury. Everyone just said sanitization, right? So I think at some point we felt it as well. But the reality is that hygiene possibly is an amenity right now that goes along with your stay, right? The first analysis that we did with our customers was what will make them travel once again? And the critical piece was trust. Right. And so we had to win the trust over of people who are now very, very scared of traveling. The one thing that they were not sure about when they had to travel was, will I be safe enough in a hotel which is used by multiple people? Right. So you had to win the trust. And second piece clearly was their confidence to travel without feeling very, very scared about the family members or themselves. So this communication, this innate ability of us to say, we've got great tie-ups around the globe. We assure you of hospital level quality of hygiene and so on when you travel to hotels. In addition to luxury, great food and beverage, great care, great personalization was, well, right, I would think. It was apt at that moment in time. And you must have seen this right now. It's fading away because it's a given that when you go into a branded hotel, company or hotel, that you will get this for sure. So everyone's sort of pulling back the communication around clean stay and so on, and adding on communication around personalization, staycations, workation. So it's sort of, it's pivoting away as we speak right now. At that point in time, it was important. At this point in time, it is about experiences and reconnecting people. So that's what's taking center stage.
Yeah, very well said. I think it's a given. No, I mean, it's a fundamental reality today, irrespective of where you are. And one is only expected to build on it and not compromise the basic expectation that any of our guests are likely to have. So I've got one question here. How relevant are loyalty programs in the current pandemic scenario? And I think everyone is going to jump at this one because I've heard so much about relationships in the past hour.
So if I could take a shot at this one.
Sure.
And of course, I guess all of us on the panel are very, very passionate about the loyalty programs that our innate organizations run. But it's an interesting take, right? Because when we look at loyalty penetrations pre-COVID times to current times, the audiences have completely changed. Our hotels that sat at 60, 70, 80% penetration levels because of the amount of corporate base that sat in hotels today has completely gone to half their numbers potentially on penetration, because it's the domestic leisure customer in there who's either looking at value or price and not necessarily loyalty as the first go. But that said, Mr. Jairam, I think even in this current space, loyalty is a big value in itself when one is talking about the brand. And just like what Manish alluded to previously, there was so much of conversation and communication around by all brands talking about how safe and secure they are. Somewhere down the line, that also percolated into the fact of members who stay loyal towards the brand, how they get even further comforted. So it's kind of a hand-in-hand situation at this stage. Yes, potentially the amount of emphasis that loyalty had historically is not seen today in our current numbers, but I would say it's very, very rapidly coming back. And we see this with the cycle of business. After building that trust, we started seeing staycations come back. We now start seeing large movements, may they be from shipping or may they be from the sports fraternity in terms of bio bubbles coming back. And a lot of that comes and boils into, how much they value the loyalty programs as well, because there is an inherent value that the program does provide at the end of the day, whether it's to the meeting planner or to the end traveler, over and above the trust and the confidence built on we're completely sanitized, and over and above the value and pricing that's coming through. So it still is a value add-on, and it's very, very quickly moving up the graph even now. And it's a new audience. The domestic leisure market that we've all suddenly seen an explosion on is I think a new market which is now exploring the benefits of loyalty programs across various brands and are really grabbing the opportunity quickly.
Thank you,
Jairam,
I got a flood of questions here. So go for it, Varun.
Just on the previous question on loyalty programs, I'll just quickly summarize, because I'm working with the Oberoi. We don't have a massive loyalty program. Our brand website contributes to 3% of total business compared to a Hilton 28%, Marriott 27, 25, Accor 25%. So last year, 2019, 2020, in our competition set, which has Taj, Renaissance, Hilton, Hapur, Varun was a part of my competition set there. And you had Accor Sofitel Downtown, where I also worked previously. Taj was number one, Taj Dubai. Their brand website does 8%. Technically, what is brand website? Your loyalty programs. So it's a different perspective. What I would say the question should here be that how high is your repeat guest ratio? In the last 1 year, what has saved the Oberoi or the Taj is the repeat guests. And these guests are avid travelers. They have no dearth of money. They stay in Marriott's, they stay in Hilton's, they stay in Accors, they stay in Oberoi Taj. But they come back to a particular hotel for the people. And there they don't care about a loyalty program or anything. Even as simple as a thing that in Dubai market, long-term stays are the need of the hour. But none of these chains give you loyalty programs for a long-term stay. So your loyalty program goes for a toss because the rates are highly discounted. The people in other chains can correct me on that. But if you're already getting a discount of 50% on your brand website rate, you're not going to get instead. So It's, in the current scenario, it doesn't matter that much, but eventually, yes. I hear Accor is going with a strategy of reducing Booking.com contribution of hotel from 40% almost down to a 30-35% and increasing the more loyalty base. That's my take on this.
Yeah, thanks, Varun. You know, I'm going to invite exactly the same panel back because we've got so much to say and we just don't have enough time. But we're going to close with one very interesting question that one of the alums again has asked us. What did you learn at 𝐼𝐻_𝑀 that still stays with you? Can you just compress it into one word? What's the best mantra that you learned at 𝐼𝐻_𝑀? Okay, the first one who answers it is the one answer we're going to get because we're at 1929.
Is it one word, Mr. Jairam? Is that what you said?
Oh, listen, take as many as you want.
I'll just
Work
use one
hard,
word.
play
Ability to
harder.
network.
Yeah, I remember that.
That stays with all of us for sure. Yeah.
I have one, like show up. One thing that I learned from it. Always show up.
Yeah, work hard, play harder, show up. And Manish, what was
Ability
yours?
to network. That's what I carried from 𝐼𝐻_𝑀.
Network, super. Anyone
We
else?
don't
guys?
necessarily
Raise your
use it,
hand is
Mr.
very
Jairam.
important, right?
Sorry, we don't necessarily use it, Mr. Jairam, but I think the one thing we all also remember is it's my way or the highway.
Yeah, I agree to that.
Thank you so much, guys. You've been so wonderful. I am absolutely privileged, delighted to have you all together. Karan and Nishant, you are going to organize another one. And this time we're going to focus on a slightly different way of doing things. I'm not going to have the question paper like the one I create for the examination. I'm going to have a lighter one because I think our guests, our panelists have so much to say. We have so much to learn with them, the intensity, the passion, and the drive with which they're doing their jobs and delivering the goods for all of us to be able to enjoy this conversation is what makes them unique. And somebody asks me this question, do salespeople feel like superheroes? And I don't want to ask them that question because I'm going to answer it for you. Yes, absolutely. Salespeople feel like superheroes, but the difficult part is you don't know when it's hurting them and they're still smiling. So on that note, thank you very much for being with us this evening. We're going to come back with another version of Thursday Talks. And until then, stay safe, take care, stay strong, keep your mask on. All right. Cheers and good night. Bye for now, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Jairam.
Cheers. Bye now.